Unbreakable. They did good. I'm going to tell you here. I have critiques about the show, of course. I'm going to. But I'm going to tell you the truth here. This show was good. And I can honestly tell you they made the right decisions. They did good. That's probably what's going to be the title. They did good. And let's make this very clear. With controversies that's been going on, not much, but still there's been controversies, particularly what happened with Joe Henry could have faced The Miz on Raw. What happened with Gail Kim, we still don't know what happened with her. Scott D'Amore, no matter if you like him or not, he was ejected for some reason, possibly paid. He said he was. Don't know if that's true. TNA has had controversies since it became TNA. But if you take that aside and you look at the show for what it was, this TNA Plus show was good. Generally, the lighting was very good. Camera work had its moments it didn't work that well, but it was still viewable. Audio was good. Now, mind you, certain points during the show, the Las Vegas crowd didn't sound that enthusiastic. And other times they really were enthusiastic. But still, it was good. Chris Bay, and I will be talking about him in a minute. Overall, the show was good. They did good. You can watch this. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do for next week. Because we are going to have Rebellion next week. And we're going to have one more show before then. What can they do to add to Rebellion? That's going to be a very big question. Now, I did not look at the countdown. But from what I found out, when they were setting up the ring, I wanted to see if there was anything added. And they talked about Chris Bay. And I went over to the YouTube channel and I saw questions and answers of Chris Bay. And I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what part of the 50 minutes that Chris Bay actually talked. But I'm curious to see what's going to be talked about, since I didn't see it yet. But seeing that Chris Bay actually was there, because he is from Las Vegas, and that he did get to sit down and was able to talk, was great. I'm very happy about that. Now, first match, which was one of the 2-round qualifiers, the semifinals. We got Eric Young, JDC, and Wentz. Now, I was thinking, JDC really has not been pushed heavily, but he has been used. And I wasn't sure if they would actually be crazy enough to make him one of the last to actually get into the international title, to be part of the 3-way. I was sure if it was going to be JBC, it was going to be Eric Young. Because he's already in the storyline, a prominent one, with Steve Macklin. There's just no way they wouldn't if they're not going to go with JBC. And then you look at Wentz. And understand, Wentz's storyline with Wes Lee was very good. But he hasn't done anything serious in a bit. So I expected he was not going to be the one to win from those two. But I thought the best person was going to be Eric Young. And I was right. Eric Young was the one who won that match. And I'm going like, okay. The next match, when they finally do it, the best person would be with Steve Macklin. And when we got the next match, it was Steve Macklin, Ace Austin, and Eddie Edwards. Now, Eddie had to be helped the last time that he had his match with Alicia. And Ace, and this was the big thing, I was not sure that they were not going to go with Ace because they're pretty much in Chris Bay's home. He just had a question and answer with Chris Bay. And what they did later in the night, because I didn't notice yet, I thought it wasn't going to be Steve. It is definitely a good chance that Ace is going to get this shot and go to the finals. And at one point, what did we get? We got legitimately You literally got Alicia Edwards getting ejected because she interfered with the match, and there was just no way to hide it, no way to deny it. She just messed with the match, but she did come back, even though she was ejected, and she tried to nail, who was it? Steve Macklin. Didn't work. She actually hit her own husband. And I'm like, okay, what is the system going to do now? Because Steve won that match. You got JDC not winning and now Eddie not winning. How far are they going to go with the system now? What are they going to do with the system? And I was thinking about that. Would they have a segment later for the system? Which they did not. They didn't do any segment with the system other than Wentz getting his butt kicked. So there's a good chance that Eddie and pretty much JDC is going to have a feud with the Rascals. So they will be doing that. That is all that we got. We got the beatdown of Wentz. They walked away. So there could be next week and going forward, we'll have either Eddie and pretty much JDC or Eddie and Macklin. No, not Macklin. Eddie or Brian Myers. I don't know why I thought of Macklin. You might get that. I'm not sure, but you might get it. Now, the next match. Open challenge for Moose. If you beat Moose, whoever it was, they would get a future X Division title shot. I had no idea who it was going to be. But as a Las Vegas native, I wasn't sure who it was going to be. We got Reggie. Sydney Akeem. The former Scripps from NXT. The former Reggie from the main roster. He shows up. And I'm like, oh. I do remember that he was released from WWE. Not TKO WWE. I think he might have been released before they went to TKO. I could be wrong. He might have been released during the time of TKO WWE. But I think he wasn't. I think they had not done the merger yet, and he was released before that. Or just when they just started it. So I don't remember. But we got a chance to see Akeem. And Akeem, as I remember him as Reggie and Scripps, he's a great high flyer and he can jump around the ring very well. But did I believe he was going to go anywhere? No. But I could see them, and this is me. Understand, this is my thoughts. I didn't expect him to beat Moose. And he did not beat Moose, but he did give a good showing. But here's the thing. Did I think that they may do something with him? Yes. The thing about this right now, when it comes to TNA, they need more bodies. It doesn't just mean about hiring people. They need to bring more people in to be enhanced talent that, if they do really well, they could become part of the roster. If TNA is willing to do this. Because as you know, they've been firing people and you don't know. You just don't. So, if Sydney actually gets called back again, I could see him as enhanced talent for the X Division or for the tag division because he's worked in tag teams and he's worked by himself. I know he can do it. And if TNA is willing to let him be around them long enough, maybe they'll hire him. And I'm kind of hoping they'll hire him for 6 months to a year. At least then they'll have a new body on the roster. But you never know with TNA because they don't want to spend this. Now the thing that made me so happy. We had Ace Austin come out after his match. And then he introduces Chris Bay. He was a rock star. Everyone loved him. Everyone was happy. Hell, one person came up with a new line for him to put on a t-shirt because he was talking about taking one of the lines from one of the guys in the back. Hey, Joe Henry, all of you believed, even though I didn't at first. And someone said, Bay leave. And he said, maybe I'll put down the shirt, which he should. And that was the thing that made me most happy, that everyone was wearing a Chris Bay shirt. Every proceeds of those shirts go straight to Chris, which makes me incredibly happy. Guys, I may have my qualms with the company, and I do. Things have happened, and things haven't been done well. But I will never, ever say that they did not treat Chris Bay correctly and went well beyond a promotion would. Hell, WWE would never go that far. They wouldn't. Because look what happened with several people who have been injured. WWE never cared as much as them and made sure people would never forget them, even if they couldn't work anymore. And we don't know if Chris can't work again. Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. For me personally, as I've said before, I don't care if he ever gets back in the ring again, as long as he can walk and function. And the thing that makes me happy, seeing him come out, and seeing that legitimately he loves so much Ace Austin, because he stuck by his side, he did things for him. I'm sure his own girlfriend, Chris's girlfriend, made sure she was there for her man. She loved him, she cared for him. But knowing that he's not his blood brother, he's not family, but he is now. Chris will see Ace, as long as he lives, his younger or older brother. I think, what is it? Chris Bay is older than Ace. I believe Ace is younger. So he will always see him as family for the rest of his life. He will always be there for him. And that makes me happy. That segment where I know many people are going to say, dude, you know the fans weren't very loud. They were at one point very loud. And then they got quiet. And then they got loud again. It does happen. And I kind of wish they kept the energy up. But it was still beautiful. That made me happy. Flat out. But let's move on. The 6-man tag. We get Santana with the Hardys and Brian, Nick, and Ali. Now, we got two stories there. We got the Nemesis going against the Hardys. And we got Santana wanting to get his hands on Mustafa Ali. And the flat out truth is, both stories are good. They're not great. They're not like up here. They're here. And there's nothing wrong with having an average to maybe above average. I'm making it clear. Please. Oh, wait. It's still working? Sorry, I thought my mic died. Sorry about the click. I thought the mic just died. But it is working. But the storylines between the Nemesis and the Hardys are not the strongest, but it's not bad. And then the story with Santana and Ali is actually quite good. So yes, you got one story that's actually very good. One story that's good to above average. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can make things work with above average to a good storyline, what's going on in a company. And knowing they're doing that is fine. I'm fine with that. In the end, you know who is going to win. The faces won. But Ali ran out of the arena again. Like he did the last time he ran away. You see Santana go in the back. He faced Santana again. He said, I'm sick of this. Look, I faced him the last time, he ran away. Look what he did again. I faced him again, he runs away again. I want to end this. Please let me end this. I'm not asking, I'm begging you, please. Falls count anywhere. And now at Rebellion, we're getting a falls count anywhere match. Now, do I believe this will really end the storyline between the two? Honestly, no. I'm being honest here. Yes, they say they're going to end the storyline. But to be honest, I don't see them ending it between Santana and Ali. In actuality, there's still more mileage with that storyline. Because even if he beats him, he didn't beat over him. He's always going to still have one match over him. They're going to still have to do one more match. And no matter what Ali says, that he's done with him, even after he does get beat by Santana, it's still 1-1. And sooner or later, if it's not rebellion, which I don't think, I really don't believe they'll end it at rebellion, but if they do, fine. It will give Santana something extra to build up going into the main title picture. But I just don't see it. I could see them ending in the Slammiversary, but I don't know if they're going to stretch it all the way to July. I don't know. I don't think they will. So if it's not going to go to Slammiversary, it will be another episode of Impact that we're going to see something with Santana and Ali. Maybe a steel cage match. Maybe that might be it. Moving on. This was the... excuse me for the congestion. This was for me, the worst match. Now, it's not the match quality. I want to make this clear. Again, this is not about the match quality. This is about the story. Joe Henry and Marsha versus Tessa and pretty much Kaz. And there's nothing wrong with the story between Kaz and Joe Henry. It's nothing. His shoulder is the story. That's going to be the story when they go there with Ethan Page, Kaz, and Joe when they go to Rebellion. That's the story there. No problem. It's not one of the best stories seeing about just having a tweaked shoulder. And the match was fine. No problem. In the end, what do we get? We get Kaz nailing Tessa Blanchard, and he managed to get beaten by Joe Henry. But this is not about that. The story between Tessa Blanchard and Marsha Slamovich is trash. I'm saying it again, trash. And I'm saying this to make it very clear that when the Rebellion match happens between Marsha and Tessa, it will not be the match quality, because after seeing them work together, they can work fine together. They can't. They'll be fine. It's the story for Tessa. Understand, guys. Make this very clear. We are talking about Tessa Blanchard having 3 months of build. 3. She really had her first real match on Genesis against Jordan Grace. So she's had less than 3 months of build. Less than 3 months. And I'm sure people would say, well, dude, it'll be fine. No, it won't. This is not right. She beat a leaving Jordan Grace and Ling Yang Lee only. And if anybody says, well, there wasn't any more faces for it. No, you do not understand what Tessa said. You do not get it. Tessa Blanchard beat everyone 5 years ago. All heels and all faces. She beat them both before she became the champion for the entire company. They gave her the main title. She went through men. She went through all the women. She went through everyone. And then the controversy happened. Gone. And now she's back. And what do we get to make her feel important? 1 match from Jordan Grace. 1 match for Ling Lang Lee. And now 2 matches where she's gone up against Marsha. She pinned Marsha once. And now Marsha basically won technically against her because Kaz knocked her out. No. This is bad booking. She should have gone through everyone. Understand? And I'm sure people are going to say, dude, you know, and I know someone would say this, Trinity, when she came into the company, she only had a few months before she had a match, and she didn't win the title against Jordan Grace. She didn't win. It's not the same. I want to make this clear. That is not the same. It is not the same. You know why? Simple. When it came to Trinity and Mercedes, they left the company. They said, we're done, because they were being booked like garbage and was being treated like garbage by Vince, by John Laurinaitis, and by anyone else that was in authority that made that decision. They were not being treated right as tag champions. They were doing nothing. And then they wanted them to face one another and start fighting one another. That's what ended it. That is why Trinity, who was heartbroken to the point where she was ready to give up on doing the wrestling business, went to TNA. Tessa was different. She was treated well. She was allowed to become the champion with the main title for the men. She had already done the women's title multiple times. Now she was given the men's title with a very strong build that I didn't agree with because it wasn't about her being an underdog. It was about her being a woman. And it didn't need to be. It should have been about her just being an underdog. And she refused to work. Period. And then we get the controversy of if she was being racist, bullying people, all the 9 yards, where she never apologized. I'm not telling you that she did that. As I said, I don't know. I don't. But what I did say when she came into the company, build her correctly. Do not rush her. There's going to be people that's going to be watching this. If they give her the title next week, flat out within less than 3 months, it is obvious this was an Anthem hiring. Remember, she was hired by Anthem. She was not hired by the people in TNA. She was hired by an Anthem executive. And she's being booked like she was done by an executive. If she wins, this will validate everyone believing that she was given privilege because of her dad when she was there, given a storyline that I said was not right, and it should have been on her being an underdog, not a woman. She was given that title. She didn't want to work. She's had controversy for years. She's brought back by an executive, and instead of her being built correctly, what did they do? They gave her Jordan Grace, who was leaving, and it was reported Jordan did not want to work with her. Not saying that Tessa has done anything wrong in the company. I didn't see any type of controversy yet from any of the websites that I normally look. There's still no controversy, but it's not the point. The point is there are people who still believe, one, Tessa was given privilege because of her dad, and two, because the way she was hired. This is garbage because she's only gone through 2 people and it's been barely even 2.5 to near 3 months, and now she gets the title if they give it to her. The booking is bad. That's the way I see it. It's not about Tessa being a bad person or not. It's about the company booking her. Let's move on. Sami Callihan versus Mason Warner. Barbed wire mayhem match. Now, we've had 6 of those matches. And the kicker, 3 of them has been done by Sami, and he's never won any of them until this match. I did like the match. It was very bloody. I did enjoy it. It was done pretty well, especially with the lemon and the salt and stapling of the tongue onto the door. I'm not going to tell you it was perfect. Warner really it was on this arm. He got ripped up really good, and they had to try and wrap him up. He was really bleeding pretty badly, so they tried to wrap him up. It was a match that I could easily say, you could watch that and watch it again, because it was a good barbed wire mayhem match. It was. No, massacre, not mayhem. It was good. Do I believe this is over? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe now they'll do something more with Warner, and they'll do something more with, pretty much with Sami before they may team them together. Because having Warner and Sami in a tag team would actually be a wise thing. But seeing them fight one another for a while, never see eye to eye, but then come together because they both have a common foe, makes the best sense. But I don't see that happening for many months if TNA books it right, unless they're going to rush it. Final match. The finals for the International Championship. AJ Francis, Eric Young, and Steve Macklin. They did a vote on Instagram and X, and no one thought AJ Francis was going to win. Now, I'm going to say this to you guys. You may not agree. But when you see the match in its entirety, when they got the right angles, because a lot of times during the show, they didn't really have great angles. And you couldn't always see everything. When you see the match, AJ Francis did a good match. I think this was the best match I've ever seen AJ Francis do. Now, I did see and I did a review of the Last Stand Rumble for Reality Wrestling, and he was in it. He didn't do bad in it, but I've never seen AJ do a great match. He's done good matches. This is the first time I've seen him do a very good match. He did a good showing ability beyond doing Tennessee Whiskey, which he executed them well. But I still state, and I still stand by this. I really wish he would put Tennessee Whiskey away for a while, at least a year. Maximum is a year. And just focus on doing other moves and showing that he has great range. Now, here he showed it. But he still always falls back on Tennessee Whiskey and tries to rub it in the face of everyone who said he couldn't do it. And that's still a wrong thing to do, in my opinion. But I'm not going to tell you that he didn't do good here. He actually did do a good showing. But in the end, we got Steve Macklin. But we did not see Steve get attacked by Eric Young. I thought he was going to attack him. He did not. When the match was over, Eric left. And Steve was in the ring with the new International Championship, which is blue. A blue backing. Not bad. I kind of wish it had been maybe, a red color or black color. That would have been alright. But it was blue. It wasn't that bad. But now Steve Macklin is the new International Champion, which I thought was the wisest thing to do. Particularly that if you're going to have a feud with Macklin and Eric, that would make the most sense. And the last thing that we saw after the show was over, seeing a card was found in the locker room by the Nimitz. They open it, it's all holographic, and they were asked to come to the Hardy compound for a deletion. So we're going to get a deletion at the Hardy compound in Charlotte, North Carolina. Is it Charlotte? I can't remember. But the point here is this. This was a good show. Flat out, it was. And may not have everyone agree with me, but I will say that the right people won, the right people lost. I do not agree with Tessa Blanchard's build. It's not about if I like her as a person or not. It's not about this. I am going by wanting to see this woman, if she's made up for what she's done, and she's not caused any trouble, a proper build. So when she does win the championship, she will not have so much controversy because an executive believe, she needs to get the title now. In less than 3 months. Now, I'm not saying she'll get it, but I would have rather see her build into a real story where she could show that she can do stuff. Go the entire roster, women who are heels, women who are faces. And if you say she shouldn't, she did that back in 2020. She went through everyone in the roster after she became champion. She went through everyone to prove that she was the best before she started working with Sammy and then won the damn title. So you can't say she can't do it. She did. But it's just me. Peace.